Hello and welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you like this video, please push like and share it with your friends, neighbors, enemies, etc. And before I go any further, there's a few things I want to say. To you people that have been around for a while, I appreciate you sticking around. This channel has been plagued with problems for sure, largely due to my addiction issues, because of my addiction issues and incarceration issues. And to all you new subs, welcome aboard. I appreciate your support. And I'm sincere about that. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the Dapper Don, the infamous man known as John Gotti, former head of the Gambino Crime family out of New York, New York. Anyway, before I get into that, let me explain to a few people who might not know how I got into the position of even talking about organized crime figures or actually infamous figures in prison in general. In 1998, I was sentenced to life without parole for nonviolent drug conspiracy. And through my years of incarceration, I met a lot of guys that people on the outside who do not know have a highly different opinion of what I do. What they do know is things that they've heard in their neighborhood, maybe things that they were a part of or how their lives were affected, or guys that were even part of that life, okay? I have a different perspective because I was nothing but a prisoner from California who was around a lot of these mob figures, gang figures, bikers, or whatever you have. And the one thing I realized through my penitentiary travels was these guys are nothing but people. Also, a lot of people that you guys out in society worship or have a certain opinion of is not the same people that I saw in prison. There's not to say there hasn't been some really good guys that are or were mob members, bikers, gang members. Okay, I know a lot of guys that are in that life, and they're my friends, and I have admiration for them. I think highly of them, I should say. Let me get to John Gotti. So I never did time with John Gotti, but I was in the know about things that happened with John Gotti because I was a gang member. I was a member of the Dirty White Boys prison gang out of the federal system. So during my time as a Dirty White Boy, in the beginning, I was hearing rumors coming out of Marion about John Gotti. Now, that happened a little bit before my time. So I knew some people that were at Marion and then came back and told tales about different things of what happened. Tonight, I'm going to focus on the fight that happened at Marion between Gotti and Walter Johnson. I just had to look up his name. So this happened in July of 1996. And what was going on at the time was John Gotti was loosely protected by the Aryan Brotherhood and actually members of the Dirty White Boys who were either striving to become members of the Aryan Brotherhood or were affiliated with members of the Aryan Brotherhood. I don't know the agreement they had. If you look at reports, there was some agreement that John Gotti would get them lawyers, and that is AB members, and they didn't. And they decided not to so-called protect John Gotti, okay? Now, I want to say this also. I have heard John Gotti was good with his hands back in the day when he was younger. He was about that life, for sure. I don't know if he killed anybody, and I really don't care. So let me stick with what I'm talking about here. Lot of rumors have come out about what happened on that day when John Gotti got into a fight with Walter Johnson, or should I say, was assaulted by Walter Johnson. And you can decide, and I want to break a few things down. Recently, I was reincarcerated due to a supervised release violation for substance abuse. And I have talked to 3 different guys that were at Marion during that time. They were in C block or in C dorm. I think C and D, that unit, I think ran together. I think C's on the top tier and D was on the bottom, if I'm correct. I could be off on that. But if I tell you, I actually know 4 people that were there with him total. If I talk to all 4 of them, 2 will give me one account and 2 will give me a highly different account. Conflicting stories about what happened on this day. And that's the God's honest truth. And I'm going to tell you something. I did a video of some things about Gotti when I was incarcerated, ran my mouth about him a little bit, okay? And I used a source, 2 sources, but one of them I started to have questions about. And let's just call him Bill. Hopefully one day he'll be on this channel. He's incarcerated, still trying to get out, and I'll let him tell the story. But I did find some discrepancies. I also talked to one of his neighbors, which was Terry O'Connor, infamous bank robber, escape artist, goes way back, who loved John Gotti, absolutely adored him, and that was his Jeopardy partner. At night, they would watch Jeopardy, and John Gotti was supposedly, according to Terry, great at Jeopardy, knowledgeable when it came to that. So I want to put that out there. Now let's look at the fight. Walter Johnson, by all accounts, was a maniac, black guy. I have said, and this is true, that John Gotti used to say racist remarks to some of the black guys at Marion. On one account, and you can get this from the channel, I think it's Camp Gognan or something. You can see a video about there's a black guy on there talking about this fight. He says that it started over, guys were talking on the bars or whatever, and John Gotti told one of them to shut up. They were going to try to place a gambling ticket in that night. A lot of gambling goes on in prison. So John was trying to place a ticket, and he told somebody to shut up. And then he called them monkeys. He said it in Italian, so to speak. So he said a lot worse than that from everybody I know. So he mouthed off a few when it came to racial slurs, for sure. Now, according to that guy on that video I just talked about, he said that that's what the fight started because of. And when John Gotti came out of his cell or whatever, they started swinging. They started going at it. Okay, that's one account. Then you look at a video from a former correctional officer on As the Key Turns. He was the guard at Marion that actually intervened and was there and wrote the report up for the fight. And you can go check that out on his channel. Now, here's what he says happened. He says the day before the fight, that Gotti was walking on the tier, nothing to do with the rec yard. A lot of information says that this happened on the rec yard. Now, this was an indoor rec, so okay, let's give it to him. That Gotti was walking on the tier, according to correctional officer reports, and that Gotti told the guy to get out of his way. Well, Walter wasn't going for it. The next day he waited, and when Gotti walked by, he hit him, and he tore his ass out of the frame. Now, I caught what this guy said. The guy said that Gotti was fighting in the beginning, okay? And so did this other guy. But when you look behind the curtains, this is what you'll find out about this fight. John Gotti got hit by this guy, but John Gotti didn't have a chance to fight back. Contrary to what the guy who was there says happened when he said he saw John Gotti swinging, and I'm going to prove it. How many of you guys right now are watching me have been in the federal prison system? A whole bunch. Okay? A whole bunch. What happens when somebody assaults another person and they don't fight back? What happens when somebody assaults somebody and that a person does fight back? It's no longer an assault. Well, it can be considered an assault still. Both parties will get what's called a shot or disciplinary or an infraction report. That didn't happen. The only person that got a shot is what it's called. The only person that went to the hole was Walter Johnson. John Gotti did not get a ticket, did not get a shot. He didn't. There's a tape, this correction officer will tell you, that the BOP is hidden. The BOP has not let out. And in it, anybody can tell, you'll be able to tell what happened, but that's never been revealed to the public. But what has been revealed to the public is John Gotti did not get a shot. I have never in my lifetime in state or federal prison, whether I did it or somebody's done it, whatever happens, assault somebody, and they fought back and we both didn't get written up. That's the proof that John Gotti didn't fight back. Never. This is what's supposed to happen. If you get hit or assaulted by somebody, you're supposed to curl up in a ball and cry for help. Now, I don't think John Gotti would do that, okay? So let me just say that. And I know that because I've tried to get out of fights before saying that I got assaulted. Well, that's not necessarily true. Yeah, maybe, or I got hit first or whatever. And this is at the DHO hearing. And they have tapes of this stuff. They go back and watch. If you took one hit, even if the person hit you in the head and you just swung wildly and you hit him, you will get a ticket for assault or a fight. What will happen is you'll get a fight. You won't get the assault charge. You'll actually get in a fight. You'll get a ticket for a fight is what I'm trying to say. And anybody in the feds that has been in the feds, doubt me. Tell me I'm wrong right now. And go back, if you're a Gotti aficionado, a mob fanboy, somebody that just wants to swing on that side's nuts, whatever, go back and look what I'm talking about. John Gotti didn't get a ticket that day. If he would have fought back, like people say, like people want to believe, John Gotti would have got a shot. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. There is no in-betweens. Oh yeah, there's one other way, for sure. If I get into a fight, the person assaults me, I swing back, and they don't want to charge, you know what I can do? I can rat. So either John Gotti didn't get assaulted, didn't fight back, or he ratted. One or the other. There's no two ways about it. And that is coming from me, Robert Rosso, founder of Convict Inc. And whatever anybody says, it's cool. Everybody has your right to an opinion. Again, I wasn't there. I'm just breaking down the facts. And the facts are, if John Gotti would have even laid one hand on that man, he would have got a ticket for a fight. And he did not. The injury reports show, in the thumbnail, that was after they cleaned John up. He was bleeding profusely. Profuse, is that the right word? He was bleeding bad, okay? The other guy had injuries on his hand and a little marks on his waist, I guess it was. So maybe John did. Maybe there was some kind of movement. But I'm telling you, if that was the case, there is no way they would not have gave John Gotti a ticket for that. None. It just wouldn't happen. It's not how the feds work, people. And that's all I'm going to say. Take care. Thank you for joining me on this Mob Monday.